This is an ESP Eclipse E2, and I will get right to the point. If you want a modern style shreddy Les Paul guitar, this is the one you should go out and buy, period. So in this episode of the Les Paul Experiment, I'm going to tell you everything about this amazing, absolutely exceptional, beautiful, gorgeous Eclipse E2. This thing rocks. So I'm going to start by just talking about the feel of this overall guitar. In fact, let's do a little bit of ASMR today. This entire guitar has this really beautiful matte satin feel across the whole thing. So the body, the back of the neck, the headstock, it all has this really soft matte feel, and it's amazing. It feels so high quality, so premium, so unique. It's just a pleasure to just hold and rub this guitar. And as you look at the guitar, you can of course see we have black and gold everywhere, which is of course the best look you could ever get on any guitar. I don't care what anyone says. And it's really fun to see how that black and gold is used throughout the guitar. So as we start from the headstock, you can see we have the classic ESP shape, which looks awesome. And then we have this cream binding that really blends well with the gold. That goes from the headstock all the way down to the neck and the rest of the body. We have these gold Goto locking tuners, but something really cool is that on the back of the tuners, the actual locking mechanism is black. And then all of the writing on the back of the headstock is that same cream color as the binding. Of course, as guitar players, we very rarely stare at a headstock and acknowledge its beauty, but in this case, I think it's 100% necessary. This headstock and the rest of this guitar is gorgeous. One of the most beautiful guitars I've looked at in a very long time. Completing the headstock, we also have a bone nut, which is very unique for a modern guitar. It was cut perfectly out of the factory. The action is nice and low how you would want it. It's a joy to play this guitar, so let's talk more about the neck. We of course have that famous ESP thin U profile. If you've never tried one, I would say imagine a modern C, make it a little bit thinner, and then also make it a tiny bit flatter. That's what this guitar feels like. It's almost like a slightly thicker version of a wizard neck. At least that's how it feels in my hands. So if you like that modern feel, it's extremely comfortable and really fast to play. But even as someone like myself who likes a chunky neck, it's not too thin for me, which is great. We have this matte satin finish on the back, which is extremely smooth and comfortable. Back to the front, we have an ebony fretboard, and it is very, very dark black ebony to complete the look of the black and cream / gold. So that's very nice. And then we have these ginormous stainless steel frets. And of course they are finished perfectly. No sharp fret edges on either side from the top all the way to the bottom. The leveling is perfect. This guitar plays beautifully right out of the box. Since this is an E2, it's made in Japan, so we have that legendary attention to detail and just finesse. And this guitar has something that I've never seen on any other instrument. Comment below if you have seen it somewhere else. From the front, you can see we have white binding. But when you look at it from the side, that same white binding is cream. So that cream binding starts from the headstock, it goes over the nut, down the neck, but on the top it's white, which matches better with the stainless steel frets and of course the inlays. And man, it's just a stunning choice and it looks really, really cool. Then of course with this style of upper horn, it's a bit sharper, a bit modern, but we also have a lot more accessibility. We don't have any special carving on the front or on the back, but that doesn't matter. High fret access is totally effortless. You can reach every single fret, unlike a traditional Les Paul. All of you modern guys who want to live up here, this guitar is going to feel great for you. And if you care about this type of a thing, the neck itself is a single piece of mahogany, along with the body, which is a single piece of mahogany with a maple top, although we obviously can't see it. This is a much thinner take on the Les Paul body, which is much more comfortable for most people. And we also have a really nice, comfortable belly cut. So when you have this guitar against your body, it of course feels a lot more modern than a traditional Les Paul. Extremely comfortable all around. We have all gold hardware to complete the look, and we have 2 volume knobs and 1 tone knob. We have active pickups, which we'll talk about in a second, but one other nice detail is the fact that we have this battery box on the back, and instead of having to take a piece of plastic in and out of the guitar, you just press this piece of metal and the battery swings around very nicely. This isn't a huge deal, but it's just a nice detail that you appreciate when you have a guitar of this price range. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, definitely check out the Lifelong Guitarist Newsletter, link below. It's a free audio video podcast, plus an article delivered to your inbox every Saturday morning. And we talk about everything from gear to guitar philosophy to specific licks and practice techniques. Everything about guitar, link below, totally free. So now let's talk about the pickups. We have EMGs, which are of course active pickups. For my very young viewers, before Fishman Fluence came to the world, EMGs were the go-to active pickups. And unlike the Fishman Fluence pickups, which have a modern voice, a traditional voice, and a split coil voice, these pickups are just one voice only. No push-pulls, nothing fancy. You get a neck tone, a bridge tone, and then an in-between tone. And here's the thing, I don't mind that whatsoever. I definitely like Fishman Fluence pickups, but whenever I have them, I don't find myself using a bunch of voices and switching a bunch of things. I usually just go to the neck or the bridge humbucker and call it a day. This very simple layout works for me really well. If you're getting this guitar, you probably aren't using a bunch of voices either. Not to mention, if you're getting this guitar, you probably have a fancy digital rig where you have all types of amp switching and stuff like that anyway. I like to keep the controls on a guitar as simple as possible, and I like to do the fancy processing at the amp level in the effects unit. That's just me personally. You might have a different approach. I know this is going to annoy a lot of you, but here's the thing. I'm not a metal guitar player, and I don't think you need to be a metal guitar player to enjoy this guitar. So we're not doing metal tones. We're doing clean tones, edge of breakup stuff, and we'll see how these pickups can sound pretty traditional, all things considered. So the one thing I really like about this EMG pickup set is that they basically just feel like two slightly different sounds for the neck and the bridge. What I mean is, well, just listen. Listen to the neck. You see how it basically just sounds like one thing and two slightly different versions of that exact same thing. In other words, there's not a dramatic difference in tone between the neck and the bridge. One just sounds more bassy, the other one sounds a little bit brighter. So when you're playing with this in a clean setting, it's really great for being able to just do a lot of pickup switching to get subtle tone differences without thinking about it as two really big different voices. And I will also just say that that same really nice thing about the pickup sounding very similar for the neck and bridge, it makes it so that the pickups combined don't really have a distinct sound, at least in my experience. So keep that in mind, but again, you're not going to get a lot of quacky, funky sounds in the in-between position with this guitar. Yeah, it basically totally fails the quack text. But again, I don't think you're getting this guitar because you want a really convincing quack in the middle position of EMG pickups. And while we're talking about this Fishman Fluence versus EMG thing, I kind of feel bad for EMGs because they're really great versatile pickups, but when Fishman Fluence came around, everyone kind of forgot about how great these are. They have a very simple flat tone, they have plenty of output. At the amp level, you can pretty much make them sound like anything you want them to sound like. So you can get a really beautiful jazz tone from these pickups, and in fact, a lot of old school jazz players played active pickups. You can get an edge of breakup tone, you can get a blues tone, you can get any tone you would want from EMGs. Getting your tone is going to be more about the amp settings than about the pickup settings, so just keep that in mind. We'll wrap up by talking about price. This guitar is definitely not a budget instrument. We're talking about $2,400, $2,500, so it's definitely expensive. But in terms of fit and finish, it's better than Gibson, and it's less money, and it's just as good as any other high-end guitar on the market today. period. So if your dream guitar is a lightweight stainless steel fret modern feeling instrument, this is the Les Paul that I would recommend above all else. Not to mention you can get these used for a lot less money, so definitely check that out as well. But if you're gonna buy it new, definitely check out Zound's link below. They have this guitar and a large stock of other guitars and other audio equipment stuff. 45-day return policy, which is awesome. They also have super fast shipping, so in a lot of parts of the US, you can get your guitar in just 1 day, which is crazy. So I'll link this guitar below, as well as some of my other favorite gear you can find at Zound's.